Welcome to Coffee with Chime. So everybody, I hope you've got either your own favorite special coffee mug out there. I actually just picked this one up on a recent masked trip to Tennessee where I found some local artists who had their wares out. I wasn't close to people, but I was able to go shopping, which for me is a big thing. You can ask a lot of people. And I found this wonderful little mug that I filled with coffee and is wonderful. So I am here today with Coffee with Chime, but not an ordinary Coffee with Chime, a spectacularly special Coffee with Chime. I am Tim Stettheimer, Vice President of Education with Chime. I say hello to everybody out there who's watching and who will watch later. And I am just super excited because I am here to welcome Robin Farmanfarmaian. And Robin, if you haven't seen all the splash that we've put out as far as what Robin's going to be doing at CHIME20 as our keynote speaker, right smack dab in the center of the conference, it's sort of like right there on the table, you got a centerpiece, that's Robin. So if you haven't seen that, you're not paying attention. So come on, pay attention, tune in, here we go. And Robin, you've probably even heard of herself before Chime, because Robin, you've got a couple of books out there. You keep working on more books too. I mean, you're like adding, it's like I just, we won't go there unless you want to. But Robin, you have been so involved in so many ways with healthcare and also with healthcare IT. You've done angel investing. You've sat on a lot of boards of a lot of companies. You have been a coach, a mentor, I could just run down the list, but I'm going to talk the whole time, and I don't want to do that. So I do want to say welcome, Robin, and thank you for joining us for Coffee with Chime today.
I am so excited to be here today, and I love Chime. So I've been working on this keynote for months.
It is very exciting. Now, okay, there's a disclaimer here. I don't want you to give away any of the just hugely spectacular stuff that you're going to bring to us. In fact, I know we're going to hear some about your personal story, which frankly, everybody's going to need to bring their tissues to that. But I don't want you to disclose too much of that or disclose the top secret formula you're going to give to everybody for how to be successful with healthcare IT innovation, all the new stuff that's coming and all the things we've got to do. But so no secrets, but can you tell us a little bit about your talk and what you're going to bring to us at CHIME20?
Sure. So I'm going to really be focusing on that shift in healthcare delivery and how technology is not only enabling and empowering the healthcare consumer, the patient, but also the healthcare professional. And within this shift, imagine we're shifting primary care, ER, emergency department, some of the other stuff like dermatology out of the clinic and hospital and into the patient's home. All of a sudden, poof, there goes a lot of your revenue stream, right? Because your primary care are the ones who then refer to your expensive specialists. When you pull things like IVs out of the hospital, we all know, I mean, the markup on the medication really helps pay for some of the other parts of the infusion clinic, right? And some of the other parts of the hospital. And so by losing that revenue, all of a sudden you're losing reoccurring revenue that in some patients are tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And so really what I want to show you is the opportunities within this. How do you keep up with this shift? How do you keep up with Apple and Microsoft and Amazon and how they're big heavy hitters in the world of healthcare, not only preserving some of your existing revenue, but also adding new revenue streams, whether it's remote patient monitoring or partnering with some of these companies that help deliver healthcare in the home.
So Robin, now let me make sure I heard you right, because I will tell you, having worked most of my career in healthcare IT, particularly hospitals, I know that what we always experienced was, we did have lost leaders, not quite like grocery stores, but there were a lot of things we lost a lot of money on. And then we had other things that were highly marked up. I'm talking about Tylenol, but just lots of things that were marked up. And it was to be able to even out to even get a 2, 3, 4% kind of margin at the end of the day to keep reinvesting, which isn't a huge margin. But what we also experienced was other organizations coming and just scooping the cream off the top. All those things that we were being able to use to offset our cost of providing care that didn't make money, those were getting scooped up by other organizations. And it seems like right now, from everything I'm hearing from CIOs and healthcare leaders out there, not only do they have that reality that's always been there and it has increased over the years, but now they have the reality that no one even wants to come to their facilities. I mean, they're having to scramble to do remote care, but it's, you know, the reimbursement levels, the feds have done some things, but it's still a little tentative about what's going to happen next. And what I just heard you say about that, though, is that you believe healthcare providers can step into the same space as Apple and some of these other
Sure.
huge tech companies and actually succeed?
Absolutely. Because the reason Apple is so successful, let me give you an example. They took the majority, not a little bit, the majority of the profits in the music industry for years by being that thin software layer. But it's in their vested interest to make sure you are also making money, because you wouldn't use their software layer if you weren't making money in that buyer seller market. And so these big corporations, the reason they got to a $1 trillion market cap is because they do a lot of partnerships, because they also help other companies and other people make money.
Yeah. So by helping others be successful, healthcare providers can potentially be more successful than they have been in sort of this partner space or technology space.
Not only that, but you brought up a good point, and I want to make sure that the listeners really do hits this home. If you're not in healthcare or you're not in a corporate world, you really don't understand that whole economic thing of the loss leaders and the revenue streams. So I like to really show this in a corporate kind of viewpoint. Just like a hospital and just like any corporation, their legal department doesn't bring in money, their marketing department doesn't bring in money, their engineering department doesn't bring in money, only their sales department brings in money, and you have to mark that up so you can support the rest of the corporation. And so that is my huge fear with hospitals right now. If we're pulling out these big ticket items, all of a sudden you can't fund the emergency room that takes care of the homeless. You can't help the elderly, right? You're not there to actually provide value. And in my world, in my eyes, hospitals and clinics, you guys are the heart of the healthcare system, and the most important, because you're the ones who save lives.
Right, right. And at the same time, it seems like there are so many more opportunities now for people who need care, whether it's well care or sick care, to be able to just get it at home and not even engage with a hospital or health system or even their primary care provider. I can just go to Walgreens or have Walgreens deliver me a test to my door, and I can do it here and not have to see or talk to anybody. And that reality, though, doesn't that just shut out hospitals completely?
Yes, in fact it does. And that's my biggest worry. And that's why I'm really looking forward to giving this keynote to show you how to keep or prevent that from happening, because you are that heart of the healthcare system. And so you need to have that revenue. So how do you start thinking about a hospital outside the four walls of the brick and mortar, right? A hospital and a healthcare system is no longer constrained by walls. You can go virtual, and you can dramatically expand not only your patient pool, and I'm not talking about telemedicine. I will not be talking about standard telemedicine at all in my keynote. I am talking about actual healthcare in the home and clinical grade devices that can be in the home.
Okay, so you're, pardon my maybe pun here, but you're actually talking about thinking outside the box, the hospital box. That's what I'm picking up here. Oh, yeah, sorry.
I really set you up for that.
You really did. That's a softball. You just send that one over and it's boom, that hit that one. So that's cool, because I will say the concern I also have, besides just this sort of nibbling and chewing away at the healthcare infrastructure that exists, is that there's really two kinds of patterns or things that happen with people and in organizations. Some people say you're either growing or you're shrinking. I don't mean wait. I term this. There are either virtuous cycles or vicious cycles that we get into. That's true personally with our behavior, but it's also true as organizations. I'll give you a good example with a vicious cycle. A vicious cycle is where we begin see financial distress, and our reaction is immediately just start cutting, laying off people, beginning to cut services, beginning to just get rid of everything we can, until, frankly, that vicious cycle takes us to the point of having to potentially close the doors, which I've been at organizations who have done that. The other opportunity is a virtuous cycle, almost the opposite, where it's not that you don't become resource aware and certainly managing your resources, but you begin doing things that can create a cycle that feeds upon itself of potentially new channels, new services, something, frankly, creative and innovative that maybe others aren't doing. And so from your background, I suspect that creativity and innovation in how we do healthcare is something we're going to hear about as well.
Absolutely. It's all about changing that delivery model and making sure you're in on it.
Yeah. And participating, because we don't want hospitals left behind. I don't want to start quoting statistics about how many hospitals close their door every day in this country. It's frankly kind of frightening. But so Robin, let me shift a little bit, if I could, to actually how you're going to interact with us. You have two times you're going to actually interact with us. And this is going to be, like I said, sort of the centerpiece of our conference, right there on the Wednesday of our full conference, right in the middle. And you're going to do some content presentation, but you're going to do some other things as well, right? Are you going to actually interact with conference attendees, or are you just going to sort of, I don't know, record and leave it and see y'all have a nice day?
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to be interacting. That's my favorite part. So really come to the session with your questions. I would absolutely love that. Also, make sure you write down things like my contact information and or what you're going to potentially get through CHIME. Because if you get some questions, for instance, I can direct you to a database of all the AI-enabled software that's cleared the FDA in the past 4 years. Right. And so some of those kinds of things that I can't go over in detail while we're at the actual keynote, because there's more than 50 of them, but I can direct you to things. And so I would love for you to follow up either with me or through CHIME and absolutely get you some of the materials that you need to really be successful in this new healthcare delivery model.
That's awesome. And as odd as it may seem, and maybe this isn't relevant to anyone out there, but there may still be some people who haven't registered yet for CHIME20. And I can't really fathom that, given that this is going to be the most spectacular healthcare digital leadership event of the year. It doesn't really, I don't know, it doesn't connect with me, but there may be some. And so one of the things that you just said, I think, is really important. When you attend CHIME20, you're not just getting some set of, I don't know, library of recordings. Here, go watch your favorite movie off Netflix. You're getting to interact with speakers, Robin, like you. And that interaction comes in several forms. Certainly seeing you present information, but also asking questions and answers, and also beginning to get access to resources they might not be aware of. And I understood, or there was a rumor, so you can tell me if I'm wrong. There was a rumor that you may actually be giving homework assignments to people. Did I hear something about that?
Well, yes, you could call it homework, but it's action items. And I will have a summary slide and or some type of a PDF document that you will be able to have and keep that will list out some of the opportunities to bring in new revenue or to expand your practices outside the four walls of the hospital.
Okay, so you mean this is going to be actionable? People are going to take this away, and actually it won't be just academic whatever. It's just you're going to have stuff you can do with what they hear.
Everything I will talk about is happening right now. A lot of it's at the beginning stages, but that's why you want to get in on it right now, because over the next 4 to 5 years, we're going to see a mass exodus outside of the hospital system. And again, way beyond telemedicine, I'm not even going to be touching on that. I'll be touching on how the patient can interact with their healthcare team.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I would suggest as people come to CHIME20, that what they bring, whether they bring I don't even think I have a physical paper notebook around here. I'm sorry, it's not within my scope of ability to handle. But if, bring your iPads, bring whatever you take notes on, because the attitude people should approach CHIME20 with is, I'm going to get a whole list of both resources and actionable things I can do right now in my role with my organization that will make a huge difference in not just even what we're doing now, but where we're able to go for the future. That sounds like the approach you're taking, and I know it's the approach that we're setting out for the entire organization. So that's awesome. We actually have gotten a question in our question window, and I may have been negligent in not mentioning that people can ask us questions. Well, actually, no one wants to ask me a question, but they can ask you questions, Robin, by typing anything in that box they want. So the people who came and attendees that we have out there right now, as we're live, can actually ask questions. People who are watching it later will get a chance to ask questions. They just need to come to CHIME20. But for the people who are out there now, one we just got was, and again, no, don't disclose any major announcements or things, but a question was about the technology gap for older patients. You know, right now in this COVID kind of time, it's even, I think, accentuated to even a higher degree, where those most vulnerable are probably, they're at home even more than they would have been before. So older patients who are at home and maybe they're tech challenged. I mean, those are the populations that it seems like would benefit from care that is delivered where they are. But on the other hand, they often don't know how to operate some of the technologies that are out there. So is that something you'll be talking about as well, those populations?
Absolutely. Elder care is a huge thing in healthcare right now, and a lot of companies are working on it, and companies you would not have expected are suddenly now your competition. I'll just name one to really like freak you out: Best Buy. You asked me 5 or 6 years ago if Best Buy was going to compete with Stanford Hospital, and I would have been laughing in your face. And now Best Buy is they're going all in on elder care, right? So I'm going to show you not only some devices that are specific for elder care, but also some of the artificial intelligence voice software programs that are specific for elder care as well.
That's really interesting, because I had thought of the people like I keep seeing these Apple commercials on when we're watching Hulu with, hey, we can, artificial voice, artificial intelligence will do this. And the person's like, it's already doing it. What are you talking about? And so I expect it from an Apple, but Best Buy, okay, I have a confession. I think often of them as a Blockbuster kind of organization. I know who is like, where's Blockbuster? Well, you can rent an Airbnb for the last one for $4 a night. But so Best Buy, really? Aren't they all just bricks and mortar? You're saying that they actually are being creative? I don't know about that. I don't know. Wow.
So the big thing is they are being creative with their partnerships. Right? They understand by partnering with startup companies or other companies that are working in this space, being that strong partner, it's a win-win. They get healthcare dollars and they get the experts that know how to create the devices or know how to create the artificial intelligence that will really work within the healthcare system.
So this is not your mother's Best Buy. This, in fact, is, you're saying that they're actually, it's like what I like to say I like to do with my teams. I like to surround myself by people a lot smarter than I am, and they make things happen. So Best Buy surrounding themselves by startups who are engaging in high potential technology so that they can meet their consumers and even new consumers, opportunity space and needs, desires, wants even faster than they might be able to do it themselves. That's the approach, huh?
Yep,
and you're saying
exactly.
that translates to health systems today too, huh?
Absolutely. If Best Buy can capture healthcare dollars that easily by just a few partnerships with the right companies at the right time, think about companies like, the hospital systems. You guys have so many opportunities, and everyone in the startup world and in the corporate world would love to partner with a hospital, because while that healthcare delivery shift is happening and we're seeing a lot more patients going out of the hospital system, in reality, everyone looks up to hospitals. We all look up to, okay, if you're working at Mass General, we think you're God, right? Like, we look at hospitals as omniscient and, there to save our lives. We look at hospitals the same way you look at 911, right? You need them, they're reliable, they're there, they will help you, and they know what they're doing. So we all want to partner with you because you guys are like the big man on campus, right?
Yeah. So I suppose it does make more sense if you're a startup company. If you're a startup company and Best Buy approaches you and you're in healthcare, you're probably going, huh? But if you're a startup company and a health system approaches you and says, we know what you're doing, we see what you're doing, we think we can make it even better, and we've got the opportunity for you to pilot, try it, and expand it and scale it, that sounds like opportunity.
Exactly.
And you would know, because I don't know how I maybe didn't highlight this and underline it at the beginning, but Robin, you've been very involved with startups. Can you mention, I don't want you to disclose anything you're not supposed to, but can you maybe give us a little peek mention of what you've done in that front, that we can sort of maybe expect to garner insights from you because of that experience?
Sure. So I am an early stage entrepreneur in medical device, software, as well as pharmaceutical. So I've worked on repairing P53 to actually cure cancer. And we found our small molecule using machine learning at an academic center, right? I've worked on virtual reality for stroke and brain injury rehabilitation with a company that's in Europe called MindMaze. They're just starting to come into the US, but it really, we are able to dramatically improve patient outcomes by using virtual reality. I've invested in an inhaled insulin with a smart connected device and a liquid formulary that can dramatically undercut the cost of injected insulin. That's in phase 3 trials, as far as I'm aware. I have worked on a sleep apnea medical device that's an in-the-mouth electroceutical, which means it uses electricity in the body. And so that's still in the development phase. I'm an early stager, so
Right.
most of the stuff I work on is not actually on the market. There is one coming on the market in about 2 years that is such a game changer in the world of transplants, it will blow your mind. It's a molecule that is able to hold a vascularized organ like a heart for more than 24 hours at -5 degrees Celsius. That is a game changer because 80% of donor hearts go unused. Right. And so the stuff I work on is just kind of giant.
Wow. That is phenomenal. I think we could spend an entire several hours just hearing about some of those things that could get us really excited and, frankly, maybe even re-energize. In fact, that's sort of the theme that we're talking about with CHIME20 is digital recharge. So I think that everything you've just mentioned, if anyone hears that who's in healthcare and doesn't get recharged by just those possibilities, wow, they need to listen a little harder. But I will say I'm very excited. I know we've only got a little bit of time left, Robin, but let me ask this. If you were to, anything that you want to particularly throw out there right now for our Coffee with Chimers who may be tuned in that you haven't had a chance to talk about yet because I've been yapping so much, that you'd like to tune on before we sort of head towards the final questions we may have out there? Anything you'd like to highlight?
So one thing I will not be talking about directly during my keynote, but I do want you to keep in mind, partnerships are not just with startups or large corporations. How can you partner with other hospitals and health systems? Right? Well, yeah. You're all in this together, and the main goal is to improve patient outcomes, save lives, and within that, you need to make money so you can do that, right? And so think about partnering with other health systems and look at what they're doing.
And I will say, I think that is a huge opportunity space for us. One of the dirty little secrets, I'm glad no one's listening to this or it won't be put anywhere. One of the dirty little secrets I found out really quickly when getting into health systems is that competition is a big thing. I am in a state, in fact, where healthcare competition is one of the highest. There's actually ratings of how competitive different states are in terms of healthcare. And there was I had a role several years back where when I came into the organization, I was asked to essentially engage in a competition, if you will, with another health organization and essentially beat them out, if you will. And so it's almost in the nature of the blood of some healthcare organizations to be super competitive because of the markets they're in. However, that approach for tomorrow, I don't know how it's sustainable. And so what you just said about finding partners, and it doesn't have to be surrounding yourself as a hub, as a hospital with, oh yeah, we've got a partner, they're a home health, we got a partner, they're a laboratory that we send stuff to, a blood bank, we've got a partner, they're long-term care, or they're SNF over here. It doesn't have to be that, because you just said health systems can work together in partnership to do better and be more innovative and creative.
Absolutely. One example you can look up quickly is Mercy Hospital. They do remote patient monitoring for not just other hospitals, but hospital ICUs.
Wow.
So they've got eyes in their Mercy Hospital that is watching the ICUs of your hospital. And it's a win-win situation because the nurses in the ICU can focus on what needs to be focused on. And then the people who are watching the patients 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, can immediately alert the nurse, oh, that beeping is for nothing, or oh, that beeping, you need to get in there right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Makes a big difference.
I think it makes a huge difference to the patient's life.
Yep.
Being touched by that beeping, and frankly to the care providers who are trying to do the best they can in very stressed environments and situations. So absolutely. I am seeing our clock run out, but I would be remiss if I didn't circle back to the very beginning where I was doing a probably insufficient job of introducing you to. And when I mentioned that you have several books out there, and actually what I'd love to do is, can you tell us the names of those books? Because there may be some viewers who want to go pick them up and study up on you before they actually hear you at the conference. So could you mention those books that you've got out there right now, Robin?
Sure. So my first book, The Patient as CEO, How Technology Empowers the Healthcare Consumer. And that goes through all the major technologies, AI, robotics, sensors, 3D printing, kind of where that's going. My second book is called The Thought Leader Formula, Strategically Leverage Your Expertise to Drive Business and Career Goals. And this is really specific for healthcare. So I have so many friends that are physicians or working in hospitals or clinicians, and they want to get their word out and they want to become, a speaker or a thought leader, but they don't really know where to start because they spent, 8 years training to be a doctor. And so this is really that instruction manual to help scientists and doctors to get the word out to lay people so that we can really improve patient outcomes there. And then the third one is facilitating virtual events, driving participant engagement and interaction.
So that's what we're doing at CHIME20, right?
Exactly. We're all in this together and we're all doing virtual events. So I thought I'd just give a short instruction manual on some of the best practices.
And I will say, having gotten to be able to look at those books, read those books, and I'm still on, I think, the Thought Leadership Formula, not all the way through it. However, I did sign up for your personal, on your site, you've got some personal coaching video stuff that is very cool. So I'm signed up and engaged with that. But I would say anyone who doesn't come to meet and engage with Robin Farmanfarmaian at CHIME20, I just don't know what to tell you. I think that they're missing a huge opportunity. They're going to miss an opportunity to take themselves in terms of their professional career forward, but as well to take their organization forward. Because as you said, this is going to all be actionable stuff, and it's things that matter right now. So, Robin, I see we're out of time, but I just want to thank you again for being with us at CHIME20, and especially being with us today on Coffee with Chime. And I hope your coffee didn't get too cold because we were talking a lot, so you may have to reheat that. But it's been a lot of fun, and I look forward to even more fun as we have coming just a few weeks, several weeks until CHIME20. So thank you, Robin.
Thank you.
Take care.